Oh, hello, my wonderful brothers of the Maverick Nation, and welcome to part 2 of What If Izuku Midoriya was the reincarnation of Grimjow. And by reincarnation, I'm Grimjow, Jagger Jack. And by reincarnation, I more or less mean like in a different means than how he was the reincarnation of Ukiura. We aren't even really sure about that ourselves, like how like we kind of know like from Ukiura's point of view, but we don't really know the full story of like the events that transpired to make it happen, make it to where like this guy is the guy that we have to reincarnate into the freaking new world or whatever shit. Not One Piece's New World. No, 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 no. No. But, in different means than, like, Ukiyora's reincarnation. Grimjow's sort of reincarnation, it's kind of more or less like recreating the spirit of the character into another character. Like, turning Izuku into Grimjow, like, spiritually and physically at the same time through means of like killing off the original person who was this person. Like by killing off Grimjow, we kind of are spiritually reincarnating him into Izuku. Like through like different traits about him, not like actually having him there like a freaking Zanpakuto spirit. Well, yes and no, but it just letting you guys know it's in a different way. It's like reincarnation in a different way than how I handled it with the Ukiyo What If. Well, it's still going on. I'm saying it like it's not going on anymore. It's still going on. Anyways, seeing as last time we left off, basically it was Bakugo and Izuku telling each other that they were going to take the exams. But in between the whole training period for the exams, Izuku decided he wanted to do a little something to differentiate himself from the Izuku he was before. Like, he just, he's basically killed his own mother, and now he lives alone with cats, and is being, like, self-taught by Aizawa, in a way. Not really, like, taught, like, basically he's a whole different beast, is what he's trying to tell himself. And in that regard, he decides that, it's time for a little bit of a makeup change. And by that I mean he is going to figure out about dyeing, how to dye a person's hair. Like how to dye your own hair. And the reason that is because whenever I said, like, reincarnate the person in a different way, that's what I meant. You know, he's going to have Grimjow's hair color. So, next time Izuku and Bakugo meet, he's going to have a different hair color than the hair color he had before, which is the normal Izuku Midoriya hair color. Now his hair color, whenever they meet again, is going to be Grimjow's hair color, which is like the lightish blue. It's not like a regular blue, it's like a lightish blue. And also, he's gonna kinda, since he's been training, for the exams, he actually has figured out that he's gotten a better handle over his tendencies to want to destroy things. Now he has a lot more better control over those tendencies, and it's not as much of a freak incident. Like, he can, like, talk to, like, Ochako or Bakugo, if he even lets him talk to him, without, going crazy. And having to, basically bail. on the whole entire conversation because he was there for too long. He's actually been able to train his mind to the point where the tendencies aren't nearly as bad when concerning people he actually wants to be friends with. Because, he wants to be friends with Ochako and, the person that he now calls Kachan. Because now he has started to revert to him as Kachan, because it's just something he thought up, and, he thought it would be a nice to, give his buddy a nickname. And, there's this Tenya Ida kid. He seems like a real smart mouth, but he does know that in wanting to be a hero, he must have some level of good intentions. So, he would go around and, maybe like, ask some people around, like, you know anything about this Tenya Ida kid? And they would, like, respond differently, like, different people will respond differently. And, eventually he would gain the courage to actually go up to Ida whenever he did find him, and, actually ask things about him. And, he would even be like, you can even ask things about me. So basically, Ida would be like, you're very interesting. You're a very interesting individual. However, I don't believe your speed will be as fast as mine. And basically, he would just look down at his legs, and so Izuku would basically be intrigued to look down at his legs, and he would see that there's like freaking engines on them, and he would be like, yes, that's my quirk. Speed. And Izuku would be like, interesting. Yeah, I'm beginning to like you more and more. If your quirk is a speed quirk, then it'll be a challenge for me to outspeed you, see if I can go up to those standards. If I can outspeed you, then maybe I'll be able to get Bakugo to actually notice the true me. And, like, Ida would be like, so, you wish to surpass people in order to sort of form, like, a stairway to this Bakugo person, to where you finally clash with him. You have a goal, and you've set it. You're interesting as well. And, Izuku would take that as, like, he might want to be friends, and you would just ask him up front, you mind being friends? And Ida would be like, as long as you're not like a rule breaker, or just trying to start up any type of trouble, it's fine with me. And Izuku would just be like, you have no idea, Tenya Ida, you have no idea. And then he would just race off, and Ida would be like, holy shit, I'm not nearly that fast. And he looked like he was doing it with ease. That means I must train harder. Because the next time we meet Izuku Midoriya, because he would tell him that his name would be Izuku Midoriya. And basically, he'd be like, next time we meet Izuku Midoriya, I will be just as fast, if not faster than you. And, Ochako would just be like, they would have their normal hangout sessions, periods, or whatever. And, Ochako would be her normal, nice, and bubbly self. And, Izuku would be like, I'm fine with you. I like you, actually. And Ochako would be like, wait, what? Yeah. Another thing that changed about Izuku over the whole training period was, he's no longer shy around girls. Yeah, I'm not afraid to say that at all. I changed that about him. He's not shy around girls. He kind of adopted that from the side of his gene pool that was his father. He's not shy around anyone. But I literally just said that. He's not shy around anyone. Grimjow was like that. He was even like, Aizen, I don't care, I'm still gonna go. And it was only whenever Aizen repressed him with his own spiritual pressure that he actually set back down. whenever they were having that big meeting. It was only whenever Aizen actually used his own spiritual pressure to suppress Grimjow that he actually set back down. Yeah, Grimjow was bad news for anybody who doesn't know what the frick they're talking about. And even if they do, he's still bad news, because Resurrection Pentetta. Yeah, up in here. Up in here. Up in here. Yeah. And Bakugo, he likes Izuku because of this. He likes the kind of Izuku that this is. He likes having someone around who can kind of understand, who can kind of get where he's coming from. Because Bakugo's a wild child as well. They're both Izuku and Bakugo in this are like wild child. They both, can kind of understand each other because they're both kind of, I guess you could say they come from the same, like, they are both apples that came from the same tree, that fell from the same tree, in a way. Because Bakugo is all sorts of crazy and, like, running rampant. And, Izuku in this, seeing as, well, Grimjow, would, would be in the same ballpark. As long as he didn't throw rocks at the cats, he would be perfectly fine with Bakugo. As long as he didn't throw rocks at the cats. Like before, whenever he was a real dick, and whenever it would be time for the entrance exam. And if you guys were wanting to know what it would be like with like him and Todoroki, like Izuku really does not give two shits about whatever this Todoroki guy's problem is. He knows that it's a problem, but he doesn't give two shits about it. Like literally that lax nature of Grimjow. Like 1 minute he's lax, and the next minute he wants to freaking scratch your face off. That's just how Grimjow is. And so Izuku, I'm wanting him to like adopt some traits of his, like a lot of traits of his father. That's the kind of reincarnation I was talking about. Like reincarnation through traits that they would share after Grimjaw had died. And all of his hollowness had been sucked basically into his son. All for one just wanted to know what would happen. He just wanted, basically, it's kind of like Aizen and Ichigo. All for one just wants to know what will happen with Izuku now that he has all of this hollowness inside of him. And so the whole written part thing, Izuku really wouldn't care, but he would be like, I guess I have to pass this, so whatever, I guess I'll try. And Grimchow's not stupid. He may be reckless and he may be, psychopathic at times, but he's not stupid. You know, so I wouldn't say that Izuku would fail. I'd say that he would know, he would, like everyone else, go on to the whole robot portion thing, the whole practical exam. And, Izuku would just be like scratching himself and be like licking himself. And he'd just be cleaning himself. And Bakugo would just like walk up to him and he'd be like, so, how's it going? Like, how's it going, Izuku? He doesn't call him Deku because, they have that mutual respect for each other. So that's why he doesn't call him Deku. He's like, how's it going, Izuku? Wait, are you even Izuku? I mean, last time I checked, Izuku had green hair. And Izuku would just be like, it's called dyeing your hair. And Bakugo would just be like, wait, you dyed your hair? Why? And Izuku would just be like, I don't think me dyeing my hair is really something that you should be focusing on. Besides, maybe I will tell you later if I feel like it. Like it's something important enough to talk about. I guess you could say I just wanted to differentiate myself. I felt too... whatever. However, I will let you know this. These two things. And he would just hold up his hands. And, you know, Bakugo would be like, what two things? Seta and Bala. And Bakugo would be like, wait, what? And Izuku would be like, and also Sonido. And, like, as soon as the gate would open, he'd just be like, boom! And then he would just be gone. And Bakugo would be like, I have to keep up with him at that speed? Fine. I'll use my explosive speed. And just shoosh, in order to catch up with Izuku. Because Izuku is, like, moving at, like, speeds like Grimjow. Like, whenever Grimjow wasn't even trying, and he could keep up with Ichigo. So, yeah. Izuku at these speeds would just be racing circles around every other person who was taking part in the practical exam, even freaking Todoroki. And he's supposed to be Endeavor's masterpiece. He would just be racing circles around everyone, no matter what happened. And Todoroki would kind of get like really freaking pissed, and Izuku would just be like, "What are you gonna do about it, Ice Boy? What are you gonna do about it, Ice Boy?" And Todoroki would be like, "You want to say that again?" And he'd just be like, and he just like Izuku would be right behind him, and he'd just be like, "Yeah, what are you gonna do about it, Ice Boy?" And Todoroki would be like, "The hell? How did you?" And then like there would be like one hand right in his face, and he'd be like, "Let's see if you can tank, uh, let's see if you can tank a Sero at point blank range, right to the face." And it would be the red Seros because only Grimjow's Grand Race Sero was blue. The regular Seros were red. So it would be a red Sero, and it would be like right in front of his face, like whenever like Grimjow was gonna shoot one at Orihime, like at point blank range, and he would just be like, at point blank range. Now, let's see if you can take it. And Bakugo would just be like, dude, Izuku, what the hell are you doing? And Izuku would be like, that's right. The attacks are for the robots, not for you low-life scum. And then he would just kick, like, him and Todoroki would be on a building, and he would just kick Todoroki off the building to fall to, like, his possible death. And Todoroki would be like, I have to find a way to. And then, like, Izuku would just jump off the building, and he would be falling so fast that he would actually be at the same place as Todoroki, and he would just be like, yo, bro, how's it going? How's it going? Be, scared like that, like a little scaredy biatch. And Todoroki would be like, what you say? And he would just keep on throwing ice punches. And, freaking Izuku would be like, oh, so you want to be a player? Okay. Balla! And he would just, like, be destroying Todoroki's ice bullet things with all of the ballas he would be throwing out. And he would even start throwing out so many ballas that they would actually start hitting Todoroki directly. And they would actually start to hit him into the buildings. And he would just be, like, getting destroyed via balla rape. It's like, bam, 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 bam. And he'd just be like, you aren't even worth a Sero if you can't stand my ballas. And he would just be like right there. And the reason why he'd be able to do this so nonchalantly is because, Shinigamis and, freaking Ankarars, which is what Grimjow was, they are half Shinigami, and Shinigami can basically just freaking walk on air. So no wonder Izuku would be able to do the exact same freaking thing. And that's basically why he's been so freaking chill, because he can do it without even having to try. He can just walk on air. And he'd just be like, "You're not even worth my Seto if you can't stand my Bala." And Todoroki would be starting to get up, and he'd just be like, so pissed off. And he would actually start, like, the fireside would start to flare up. And he'd be like, "No, I'll never use that bastard's power." And Izuku would just be like, "I don't care what power you use to fight me, it's not going to work." And Todoroki would just be like, "Just this once. Just this once to shut him up." And then he would just fireside, boom. Like he pissed him off that bad that he used the fireside during the entrance exam. He pissed him off that bad. Like just a giant fire explosion that blew off that half of the building completely. Like incinerated it. Ash. Nothing left. Just ash and smoke screen everywhere. No one could see a damn thing. Except, like, basically, Izuku doesn't even have to see a damn thing. He has the freaking Pesquita. Because, like, hollow power, Pesquita is one of them. And, he's the one who's doing the training. So it wouldn't matter, really, Grimjow's Pesquita. Because he's the one doing the training, so his Pesquita could be as good as however he wanted it to be. Like, however much he would, like, train his Pesquita. And, using the Pesquita, he'd be able to, like, sense around, like, basically everything that Todoroki was doing or not doing. And he'd basically be like, even in all the midst of all this smokescreen, I can still tell where you are, Ice Boy. And Todoroki would be like, "Even with all my fire." And it would just be revealed it did nothing to him. Izuku is completely unscathed. The entire, like, fire torrent that freaking Todoroki that's just shot out, that giant explosion of fire, did nothing. Nothing at all. And Izuku would even start to kinda laugh in Todoroki's face, in front of his face, while he was walking on air. Like, he was just in the middle of the air, and he would just start to laugh in his face. And he'd just be like, "Ice Boy can't even seem to shoot up an ember without it failing in his face. Look who's in their birthday suit." And Todoroki would just realize he burned his clothes. And Todoroki would just be like, "Damn you, I hate you." And Izuku's like, "Nothing nobody's ever said to me before, so yeah, the usual. It doesn't matter what you say, because you're just like the rest. Just like everyone else who hates me. It's just gone into boredom now. Yo, Bakugo, if you can even tell where I am, I'm with this Todoroki kid. He burned his clothes trying to kill me. Just so you know." And Bakugo would be like, "Wait. Uh, oh my god." And he'd just be like straining himself, trying not to laugh. And Todoroki would be like, "I'm going to kill all of you one day." And Izuku would just be like, "Huh, well, whenever you gain the power to actually be able to even touch me, maybe then you'll be able to say that." And like, Todoroki's just like, "The hell are you talking about?" And then he would just realize Izuku's hand was like right in front of his chest, like, "My hand is this close to your heart." And then he would just bat him away. He would just bat Todoroki away, and he'd just be unconscious. And, Izuku would be like, "Bakugo, let's see who can get more points with the time we have left." And, with the time that they had left, they would indeed get more points. Because Izuku wouldn't give a shit less, really, anything about Todoroki. He could really give a shit less if he even continued to exist. So he'd just be like, it's just a race in between me and my rival Bakugo. The only one who could be my worthy rival. Yes, this is why it's still worth it to be alive, even after everything. This is why I still want to be alive, why I still have that dream of heroism. Because of people like Kachan, and people like Ochako, and even Ida, somewhat. This is why I strive to continue to exist. This is what makes it worth it. And then, like, both of them would just juice it straight through the other side of the gate. And basically, whenever like all the points were like tallied down, basically Bakugo and Izuku would have tied for first place, and Todoroki would be at second, and Uraraka would be at third, and Ito would be fourth. And if you guys are wondering, like, what about the part where Uraraka or Ochako gets saved? Well, she really wouldn't need to be saved because of, all the times where, like, Izuku would meet up with her and be all his Grimjowy self. It would give her initiative to not be so defenseless. So the whole thing with the zero pointer would never have happened. Like, the zero pointer would still show up, and that's the moment, like, right before that they had gotten through the other side. Like, Bakugo would be like, what are you doing? Why'd you stop? And Izuku would just be like, and then just all the blood would funnel in, and basically Bakugo would know that one of his arms is for Seros and the other one's for Balas. And basically he would know that he like injured the Sero arm, and he would be like, why would he do that? He's restricted himself to only one type of attack. Unless he plans to go ambidextrous with his sword, Pantera. Wait, what's happening with his Sero? They're supposed to be red, aren't they? Why is that one blue? And then all of a sudden, just a giant freaking Sero. But right before the Sero would shoot out, he would look like Izuku would look to Bakugo, and he would basically say, Grande Sero. And it would just be like, boosh! And the entire Zero Pointer robot would be history. And like, the entire thing, like everyone else besides like the people that were like friends with Izuku would just be like being thrown across the entire area because of like how much space-time was warped just by that one Grand Race Arrow. Because that's what the Grand Race Arrow does. It warps space-time. Basically, whenever one is used, space-time, it's so powerful that it warps space-time. And basically, that's what he says. That's what Izuku says to Bakugo after they get through the gate thing. He's basically just like, the Grand Racer has the power to warp space-time whenever it's used. That's why that sensation was felt. Don't lie to me, I could tell you were feeling it too. And Bakugo was just like, you have an attack that powerful already at your disposal? And Izuku would just be like, why not? The Grand Racer was freaking awesome. Ain't that right, Pantera? And Bakugo would be like, oh yeah, that's right, he still talks to his sword. And Izuku would just correct him, he'd be like, Zanpakuto's sword. Bakugo. He'd be like, Zanpakuto's sword, Kachan. Zanpakuto's sword. And this whole entire thing would end with the both of them getting the letters in the mail that would say that they tied for first place. And, that they would basically be sent to UA, the pretty much best hero school ever-ish, like the best one, like the top one, UA. Like they had applied for it, and the entrance exams, they would be going there. Because, they didn't just do good, they tied for #1 score in the entrance exam. They let me bring this to you guys straight. They tied for #1, both of them. And Izuku's just gonna be chill, and he's gonna be like, and he'd just be talking to his cats, and he'd be like, guys, I know this seems a little weird for me, but I gotta go. And he would just show up at the door to Bakugo's house, because he pretty much knows where most of the people that he's friends with live. And, because he's, like, always, like, prowling like a cat, like a feral cat in the night. He's always moving around, never staying in one place whenever he's out for the hunt. That's why he, like, always knows where everyone freaking lives, because he's always on the move whenever it's time to get on to the move. And so, he would basically show up at the door to, Mrs. Tiatsuki's house, he basically just Mitsuki, I remember. Mitsuki's the name of the mother. He'd basically show up to the door of Mitsuki's house, and Mitsuki would be like, are you one of... And he'd just be like, yeah, I'm one of his friends. And she'd just be like, how did you... And he'd be like, know that you were going to ask that? Silly little Mitsuki. Silly Mitsuki. I even know that you're his mother. Don't ask how I know any of those things. It would just be a lot of unnecessary talking. Whenever, I have something to say to Bakugo. Something really important, actually. And basically, he would just be led into Bakugo's room, and Bakugo would be like, how the hell did you get here? And Izuku would be like, your mother let me in. And technically, he's not really wrong. He's not really lying. She did let him in, but she was like kind of really freaking spooked. And Izuku would just be like, I can't wait. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be awesome. If what I've heard about UA is true, then of course we're gonna end up being heroes. And Bakugo's just gonna be like, hell yeah, we're gonna be freaking heroes, and no one's gonna stop us. And Izuku's just gonna be like, I like your positivity, Bakugo. Your initiative. It's infectious. It's why I was so ready to go to the entrance exams and train for the entrance exams and try as hard as I did. Because that initiative of yours, your infectious personality, like I said, infectious, I couldn't help but feel like it needed to be done for me too. You always have been someone to get things done. However, I really wish you would stop bullying others that weren't as fortunate as you. It's not something that I think would suit a hero. And Bakugo would just be like, what the hell are you talking about? And Izuku would just be like, you know exactly what I'm talking about, Bakugo. That's not what a hero does. A hero is supposed to be kind-hearted and do what's right for the people around them. However, anyone who is weaker than you bully, and you just expect that to fly. A real hero is someone who fights for good and would never do something like that. And Bakugo's like, how do you know what a real hero is? And Izuku's just like, I just have an instinctive gut feeling about a real hero. I just have... It's almost like a name on the tip of my tongue. Kurosaki. I believe that was the one. And Bakugo was just floored like this, and he's like, Kurosaki? Wait, how do you know about Kurosaki Ichigo? And he's just like, That's his full name? Kurosaki Ichigo? Interesting. I might have to study up if I really want to be a true hero. And Bakugo's just like, maybe he is right. Maybe I have been approaching this all wrong. Okay, fine. I believe you. I'll try to be nicer, I guess. But it's not like I'm going to let people step all over me. And Izuku's like, no, 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 you're reading me all wrong. I wasn't saying anything about that. I just wanted you to be more like a real hero. I mean, you want to be the number one. So, why not show that by, acting like someone who would end up being the number one? If you can't act the part, then why ever try to be the part? And Bakugo was like, I think I'm beginning to get what you're trying to say. Fine then. Starting tomorrow, I'll do my best to clean up my act. And Izuku's like, thank you. I couldn't have asked anything more of someone like you, a friend like you. And Bakugo's like, a friend like me? And Izuku's like, yeah, I've always thought of you as a friend. Even whenever you became annoying, and even whenever you threw rocks at the cats. I always knew that there was some part of you that I almost felt a connection with. Like, in a way, more than just one way, we were similar. Isn't that sort of the reason why you wanted to be friends with me? And Bakugo is just like, where the frick are you, a mind reader? I mean, of course it's nice to be with people that you can understand, and that understand you. And Izuku's like, exactly. So Bakugo, I'm gonna wish you luck on your little resolution that you just now made for yourself. Like you said, tomorrow you're gonna clean up your act, so that you truly will be able to be not just an example, but you will be the number one hero. And even if that means I have to be the number two, I don't mind. After all, if it means we can keep our friendship, I'll be the number two any day to your number one. And Bakugo is just like floored. He's just like, man, you're a real lifesaver. You know, it's guys like you. You're really something else, Izuku. You really are something else. And Izuku is like, yeah, but I think I've stayed long enough. I don't want to freak your mother out or anything. So, yeah, and my family, my friends, are probably worried sick about me. Plus, I think I might need to resupply them with food. Yeah, so I better get going. But you better remember your resolution. And Bakugo's like, okay, okay, I'll do my best. So, yeah, you, go, help your friends, and I'll do my best, like I said, to keep the resolution. My resolution. And they basically just go off their separate ways. And that's where I'm gonna end this. Cause, like, something 39 minutes. Oh, that's a lifesaver. Anyways, the Dark Shadow Maverick is out. Alonzi and Adausis, because the Dark Shadow Maverick, just like I previously said, is out.